Hey there, welcome back, Microsoft Office students and others who are interested. This is going to be another one of our book video tutorials for the Develop Your Skills. It's a Microsoft Excel Chapter 4, all about making charts and bringing in images. So I'm going to go ahead and access our ebook. I'm going to go to the internet. I like Google Chrome. I'm going to go into the address bar and go to bookshelf.vitalsource.com. I've been in the book today for a little while, so I'm already logged in. Remember to use whatever login information I've already supplied to you. If you need it, of course, you can always email me. Office 19 is our book. I'm going to go to the table of contents in a moment, most likely because it always opens up, usually not on the page you need. I'm going to click table of contents. Microsoft Excel is our unit. Chapter 4, data visualization and images. And I'm going to go to the chapter opener. I'm going to close my table of contents. As usual, I'll do a light amount of reading before I open up Excel and start doing what we need to do. In this chapter, we're going to use a variety of ways to create visually interesting worksheets. You'll learn when to create charts, which chart types to use for different situations, and how charts are particularly useful in understanding the relationships among numbers in a worksheet. You'll also learn about formatting data based on desired conditions. It's called conditional formatting. That's one of my favorites. I love conditional formatting. So some of our learning objectives, we're going to insert charts, use chart tools to modify charts, move and size charts, edit chart data, add images to a worksheet. If you added images in Word when we did those chapters, it's exactly the same here. It really doesn't change. And then we're going to apply conditional formatting. I'm going to move into the book in just a second. Okay, so we're going to continue on here. I guess the book's running a little slow. That's okay. Create charts to compare data. So I'm going to start sizing my window down like I normally do. I'm dragging it off the right-hand side of the screen. I like to drag in a way so I have more Excel showing than I do the book. I also like to click the big A, little a down here and make my text quite a bit bigger. I think I'll go maybe this big this time. We'll go this big so that I can read it a little easier. Create charts to compare data. There's many situations in which we're presented with numerical data. It'd be easier to interpret if the data, we could visualize it in chart form. Charts are created from worksheet data. Similar to a formula, the data is linked, so if the data changes, the chart also changes. Creating a chart is as easy as selecting the data and chart type. Excel does the rest. After the chart is created, you can add or modify elements to change the way your chart looks. That's where you can get really detailed into a lot of different aspects of it that can be really time consuming. So be careful, but do know that there's a lot of features we won't be able to cover, but there's a lot it can do. Chart types. Excel has more than a dozen different chart types to choose from, with variations of each chart type as well. However, it's important to remember that the purpose of a chart is to simplify data, not to make it more complicated. So we're going to use three main chart types in this book, if I remember correctly. Column and bar are basically the same type of charts. They display data in columns across the horizontal axis. A bar chart displays horizontally, along the vertical axis. They're basically the same, but one is vertical and one's horizontal. So where this information is going up and down, the information would be going left to right instead. Line charts display a series of data in a line or several lines and is useful for showing trends. So we tend to do column and bar charts for comparison. Line charts tend to be of large amounts of data. Line charts tend to show trends like stock markets, fluctuations, things like that. Things that have chronological order is very useful. And then pie charts. A pie chart shows a comparison of data as parts of the whole. So as you can see, which piece is the biggest piece of the pie? That's a really neat way to look at numbers. Excel also has a recommended charts option that will list the top chart options for your based type of data that you've selected. That's where it's gotten even easier. Once they added that in these 2019 and 365 versions, yeah, 2016 I don't think had it. It got really awesome. So where we find charts and where we insert charts, we go to the Insert tab, Charts Group, and you can also go to the Insert tab, Charts Group, Recommended Charts. Selecting chart data, choosing the right data is very important to make sure Excel can create the chart correctly. The best method is to select the data and include the appropriate row and column headings. Select an equal number of cells in each row of data, even if some of those cells are empty. You can create a column, bar, or line chart from the same selected data. So here they are. They've selected this group of data. Here's an example of what it looks like as a column chart. Here's what it looks like as a bar chart. And here's what it looks like as a line chart. So in my opinion, of course, the line chart's not the most useful. You can sort of see the trends, but since people have very similar data, it's hard to really see the comparison. One of these two types of charts, the bar or the column, is a little more readable. They are going to get to a point where you learn how to stack these three columns on top of each other into one column. They call that a stacked column chart. When they're separated like this, they like to call it a clustered column chart. So you're going to hear that term when we insert things. They're going to say choose the clustered column type. That means that the columns are separated. Stacked just means they're on top of each other. So to create a pie chart, you only need to select one series of data. So in other words, you usually select labels and then another series of data. So labels, if I just want February, I highlight these products, then I highlight the February data. Okay. If you want to create charts showing only some of the data, you use the control key to select the desired data. We are going to have to do that in this book, so you'll kind of see how to do that. They do it a little bit more in the review exercises than having a lot of opportunities in the develop your skills. So just remember, highlight a range first, then hold the control key. So once again, highlight a range first, then hold the control key. It's never down first, okay? So chart elements, a chart is made up of lots of different elements. This is where you could tweak them like crazy. You could add every element in the world. We're going to do some of these, like we're going to bring in a title. We'll change and add dollar signs to the vertical axis here, things of that nature. So this area here is the chart area. Here's a title. Here's the vertical axis, the horizontal axis, a legend, which shows what each color means. There's every little detail in the world you can actually change. So we're going to do develop your skills E4D1. I'm going to start these steps now. And it says over here, step 1, start Excel and open E4D1 sales. Save it as E4D1 sales charts. So once again, I click start, where you can search for Excel. Go down to the E's, click Excel. I'm going to open my file before I size my window. I'm going to do open. I'm going to click browse. I'm in my documents folder. You might be able to go straight into your office folder. I have to go a couple of folders in before mine. Now here's my Alfred's Office 2019. Now it should start to look the same for you. Excel. We are now in chapter 4. I'm opening up E4D1 sales. I'm going to slide it off the side now. I'm going to go to File, Save a Copy. Your version likely says Save As. And I can just click here after the word sales, add the word charts. Now remember, yours you click browse and it might look a little bit more like a window. Like this, you would just be putting the file name down here instead. That would be the only difference. So just my version is 365, yours might be 2019. You might not have that quick trick method. I'm zooming in just slightly, not tons, because the numbers don't matter significantly. I just want to help you see what I'm selecting when we start to bring in a chart. Step number 2 says follow these steps to insert a column chart. Step 2A, highlight A3 to D8. A3 to D as in dog 8. So we're only doing the first quarter here, the first 3 months. Step B, choose insert, and in the charts group, here's my charts group, click recommended charts. Step C says Excel recommends a clustered column chart. There's that term clustered. See how the 3 columns are separate? Here's an example of a stacked. The 3 columns are stacked on top of each other. And it says click OK. And our chart comes in, and it just says to save our changes. So that first step was pretty quick and easy, and it made a pretty beautiful chart that could almost be done. The only thing you might want to do is change the title, which we learned to do momentarily. So I'm going to scroll down in my book. Sometimes I have to scroll twice to do it. Chart tools. So chart tools, in other words, is your contextual ribbons up here. So mine doesn't say the word tools, but there's chart tools design, chart tools format. So on my machine, I don't have the word tools. Your machine, it depends which version of Word you have. If you have the words chart tools slightly above these two contextual tabs, do not mix these up with any of the other ones over here. Okay, so they're always on the far right, the contextual tabs. They only show up when the chart is selected. See, if I click away, they're gone. I click once on my chart, they appear. Very, very important. So if you don't see those, I'm going to tell you select your chart. Okay. There's countless ways to formatting a chart. Your chart can be as simple or as creative as you like. The way you format it will likely depend on your purpose and how much time you want to spend working on it. All the tools are found on the contextual tabs, or if you're on the Windows-based version and you have these buttons on the side, you can also do things from the side here, adding chart elements, doing chart styles, and filtering. We're going to learn some of those as we go through the chapter. They don't always work on the Macintosh. That's why I gave that side note. Okay. You can also format using what's called the format pane. So there will be an opportunity. We open up an extra panel over here for options. That gets really, really deep. Okay. Chart tool design. You can use design tools to quickly and easily change the way your chart looks using features like chart styles and quick layout. Those you'll find from the ribbon, the design ribbon. It helps change the appearance of the chart quickly and easily with things like color, background color, and the arrangement of where some of these things are, like the legend can go to the side or underneath the title, things of that nature. Excuse me. The chart formatting buttons. So I mentioned those briefly. There's 3 of them here: adding chart elements, chart styles, chart filters. Develop your skills E4D2. We're not going to do step number 1. I'm going to skip the save as. Step 2. And if you're doing it on your own, you can feel free to do it, but I don't normally request it. When you're doing the reinforce your skills exercise and the apply your skills exercises, do exactly what they say. If necessary, click anywhere in the column chart to select it. Step 3, choose Chart Tools Design, Chart Styles, Style 8. So that's chart design for me. I don't have the word tools. These are my various chart styles. Now, if need be, on a Mac, you might need to click a More button. It's an arrow around the middle of this box. Or on a Windows machine, you have the More button here. And they want Style 8. So essentially speaking, you can count them. But I believe it's this black one here. And when you rest on it, it says Style 8. All I have to do is click it one time and notice how it changed the colors. It made it a little more grayish color, things of that nature. Step number 4 says choose Chart Tools Design, Chart Layouts, Quick Layout. So Chart Design, Chart Layouts, Quick Layout, and they want Layout 1, the first one. All that did was move the legend from the bottom to the side. That's all it did. It didn't do anything else other than that. Step number 5, follow these steps to add axis titles to your chart. So axis titles are extra information that goes to the side of this information or underneath this information to let people know what that information is, what that data is about. So what are these names? We obviously know their names, but are they salespeople? Are they employees? Are they students? What are they? So we're going to click the plus if you have it. If you don't have the plus, you would have to go to Chart Design, Add Chart Element on the left here. So I'm going to click the plus, and it says put a check mark in this Axis Titles box. Notice how it put one here, put one here. Okay. That was steps A and B. Step 6, point to the title on the vertical axis. So that's this title here. Point to it and try to triple click. 1, 2, 3. See how it highlights everything in there? Now step 7 says type monthly sales. Hard to type that direction. And then press enter, it says. Now you see that didn't work, right? So it's actually said do not press enter. So I accidentally pressed it. I'm going to press backspace. You just got to click somewhere on your chart. Okay. And it says it here, do not press enter. My eyes tried to read it quickly. I thought it said press enter. Step number 8 says select the horizontal axis and replace the text with agent. If you found the triple clicking hard, I'll give you another method here. Click once where it says axis title, click once again to get your cursor in here, then highlight. So yeah, it's a little bit longer, but if you were able to triple click, whatever works for you. Step number 8 says type the word agent and then click away. Step number 9, change the chart title to airspace Q1 sales. Similar idea, click where it says chart title. If you can triple click, power to you. If not, just highlight in here. Point in here and highlight. That's even a third way to do it, because last time I told you to click, then highlight. You could basically click once on it, then highlight. So it's airspace Q1 sales, and then click somewhere on the chart. So we made it look really pretty in just a matter of seconds here. That would be more than an acceptable chart. You're going to learn some other cool things to do. I'll show you maybe a couple of my favorites, even if the book doesn't. Like you could put numbers on each of these, which would be more descriptive and know exactly what the value is. Those are called labels, by the way. Step 10, follow these steps to change the chart type. 10A says click the change chart type button on the ribbon. So that means you have to be on chart design. You have to be in the type group, change chart type. Step B says click the recommended charts tab. So up here, recommended charts. And step C says click the second option, the stacked one. Stacked is a lot cleaner and easier to read. Click OK. There it is. The chart more clearly shows a comparison of totals. So now you could really compare the totals for everybody. Plus you can see which people have the biggest of color a lot easier. So it makes a better comparison. Step 11 says save our changes. Chart format tools. Beyond changing the basic style of a chart, you may want to choose your own colors for the chart area, plot area, or data series. This can be done by modifying the fill or outline of a specific chart element. The fill can be a color or gradient texture or even a picture. Other possibilities include adding shapes or even word art. There's what they also call axis options. Adjusting the axes can focus the chart on significant differences in data or simply change the appearance of the axes using number formatting, such as to display numbers as currency. Another thing you can do is change the minimum and maximum values of things. So here they're showing you two different charts where this one has a chart minimum value of 0. You really can't see the difference between people as clearly. But when you change the minimum value to 1,000, because everybody has at least $1,000, you can really see who did well after that $1,000. Okay. Where these are found is from Chart Tools Format, Current Selection, Format Selection, or right-click Axis, Format Axis. Develop your skills E4D3. We're not going to do step 1. We're skipping the Save As. Step 2 says, continuing with the airspace Q1 sales column chart, follow these steps to adjust the color of the February series. 2A says, click once on any orange block. Now notice, this is really important. All the orange blocks are selected. If you accidentally click one more time on an orange, you'll only have one of them selected. So be really, really careful. That's why it says it's important to only click once. Step B says, right-click any of those orange ones. Step B says choose fill, and from standard colors, choose red. Nice. Step 3 says repeat step 2 to adjust the fill color of the March series to purple. So which one is March? Well, March here says is gray. So I click on a gray, right-click any gray, go to fill, and choose purple. And you'll notice the legend also adjusted accordingly. It had to. Magic. Step 4, freshness. Follow these steps to adjust the vertical axis. Step 4A, point to a number on the vertical axis and then right-click. So point to these numbers and then right-click and choose Format Axis. That's step B. It opens up this panel over here. And step C says scroll to the bottom of the Format Axis pane. So down here, if you have to scroll, you need to see the word number. Click it if you can see it, or scroll if need be. It says under the category here, it says number again. So this is step C. Number once was to expand. The second one is to click under the word category number and then choose currency. This is step D now. Make sure this is on 0. The number format is changed for the vertical axis to have these dollar signs on it. You can either leave the format axis pane open or close it by clicking the X in the top right corner. I think I'll close it for now and bring it back later if we need it. Save our changes to the workbook. I'm going to the next portion of the book now. Move and size charts. Charts can be moved around on an existing worksheet just by pointing kind of near the upper corner. Not all the way on the corner because that's sizing. Usually you'll see a 4-headed arrow up here. That's when you can drag and move it wherever you want. You can size it by going to the corner up here or the corner here. I usually use the outermost corner because you have to be careful. You can accidentally size these inner things sometimes. Like this area here, I can accidentally size it. So be real careful. You can also move it to its own sheet. Remember, sheets are at the bottom down here. Okay. And they do and can take up a lot of space. That's why oftentimes it's better on its own sheet. Okay, so they're showing you what I just mentioned here. You can also move to its own sheet by right-clicking, and you can also do it by Chart Tools, Design, Location, Move Chart to get it to its own sheet. You can also, it says here, go to Chart Tools, Format, and Size. So if you want it to be a specific size, you can go to the Format ribbon here, and you can make your chart a very specific size. Now, the reason mine are not lit up is I have to click in here away from the axis area. It shows me the size of my chart. So if I wanted to make it specific dimensions, I could. I'm going to do Develop Your Skills E4, D4. I'm not doing step 1. No save as for me. Step number 2, with the Airspace Q1 sales chart selected, choose Chart Tools, Design, Location, Move Chart. So chart design for me, location, move chart. In this box that comes up, step 3 says click New Sheet. So I'm clicking on the wording New Sheet, or you can click that little circle. It's called a radio button. And type Q1 Sales. So we're naming the chart as it moves it to its own chart. And then step 3 also says to click OK to finalize it. And you'll see it lands down here as Q1 Sales. Step 4 says click the sales worksheet. Very easy to read now that it's big, boy. Step 4 says click the sales worksheet tab to create a new chart. So I click sales. So we moved it away from the data. When it's with the data, it's called embedded, and we moved it to its own sheet. Step 5, highlight A3 to G6. A3 to G6. Step 6, choose Insert Charts, Insert Line or Area Chart menu button, and choose Line. So that's Insert, Charts Group. This one is your line or area chart. And they want Line, the first one underneath the list. And I just click it one time. Step 7 says drag the chart so it's directly below the data. So I'm going to point here, kind of put it below my data here. Let me move my picture slightly out of the way. Step number 8, change the chart title or replace the chart title with the name Semi-Annual Sales. So I'm going to click where it says chart title, drag over the text, and I'm going to type Semi-Annual. Whoops, it's 2 N's, isn't it? Sales. Click away on my chart. Save my changes to the workbook. Okay. Now we're getting into some other meat and bones important stuff. Edit chart data. After a chart's been created, the data is linked. So if you change the data in the worksheet source, the chart is automatically updated. You can also add or remove data from the chart or filter the chart to change the data displayed. The easiest way to change the chart data is to reselect the entire range to be used, but you can also add or remove individual data series points or labels. They're absolutely right. It's always easiest to highlight again from the beginning and just get it all. Rather than adding and removing data, sometimes a better option is to keep all existing data in the chart and use a filter to display. That, I think, is the new power of everything here. It started with 2016, is the ability to filter on just don't show what you don't need to show. Hide it, in other words, and show it again if you ever need it. Okay. So they're showing you here the filter button and how you can uncheck the things. By clicking the filter button, you can check or uncheck the things you want to show or hide. These are found from Chart Tools Design Data, Select Data. That's how we can add or take away data. Chart Tools Design Data, Switch Row or Column, which means in this particular case, I could put the names on the axis here and the months would go down, something of that nature. It'd be a weird chart to do that with. Step number, develop your skills E4D5. I'm not doing step number 1. I'm not doing it. Step 2, ensure the semi-annual sales chart is still selected. Step 3, right-click anywhere in the chart and choose Select Data. Now, for some people, this gets upsetting because you see this weird blinking stuff. This is kind of in the way. No, you can move this out of the way. That's one option you can do. The other option you can do is you can make this box smaller by clicking this arrow and then bigger again by this arrow. So it depends on what size screen you're on right now, what you decide to do. But I would recommend moving it away from your data just so you could see it easier for the first time as you're selecting. I'm used to it, so I can keep this box kind of in the way and let it block what I'm doing, and I can kind of still know what I'm up to. So step number 4 says drag across the worksheet range from A3 to G8. So I just point to A3, drag over and down to G8. See how it's now changed this to G8? My data now includes all 5 people. All I need to do is click OK. So what's important about also knowing that is what happens if you add people to this data later? The chart's not going to know that. The original chart was to row 6. So let's say we added 2 new people after the chart was ever made. I would have to do that process we just did to select data to add the 2 new people into the chart. I don't need to make a brand new chart. I can just add the 2 people that weren't there. So it's really magical, pretty cool. Step 5, click the chart filters button and click the checkboxes next to Adam, Elizabeth, and Tim. So chart filters is this button. I click the check marks next to Adam, Elizabeth, and Tim. And then I click apply according to step 5. Now I'm only showing those 2 people. Isn't that really cool? So we can click the filter button here to hide that. This is how they want us to leave the chart. We only see these 2 people now. That's magic. That's really, really cool. Step 6 is to practice something we did in the last exercise or an exercise or so ago to change this axis to currency. A lot of people don't remember it well. So don't worry if you don't. You're not the only one. I'm going to right click one of these numbers on that axis. I'm going to choose Format Axis. As a reminder, it opens this panel over here. If necessary, you have to click number down here. Also, if necessary, make sure you're on the icon that looks like a chart here. That's really, really important. And underneath the category here where it says number, I'm going to click and I'm going to choose currency. It puts those dollar signs on. Okay. Pretty tricky to remember that, to be quite honest. I'm going to save my changes. That's step 7. I'm moving on into the chapter now. Adding images. So that's all they're going to cover with charts for now, but you're going to get a lot of review with your 3 exercises at the end of the chapter for the reinforce your skills and the next 3 exercises for the apply your skills. And they'll have you make a pie chart then. They'll also have you make a chart that doesn't highlight continuous data. I may try to show you how to do something like that before I wrap up these develop your skills, just so you can kind of see as an example of how to do one. I could make a quick pie chart with this data if you'd like. I'll actually try to remember to do that. Okay, so adding images. For the most part, Excel is used for text and numerical data. However, it's possible to add pictures. A picture you might add might be like a company logo or something that helps accentuate the data, something of that nature. Remember, you can insert pictures from the internet or from your computer. You can also, after pictures come in, you can use some of the adjustment tools that will be on the contextual tab. So those who did pictures with us in Word know all about it, but you go to the insert ribbon, and when you click pictures, that's implying from your computer. Online pictures means you're searching. They also now have shapes and icons and even 3-dimensional pictures to help you bring in stuff. They don't actually have us do a 3-dimensional picture until we go to PowerPoint, which is really cool. I had fun with the 3-dimensional one the last time we did this. So when searching for an online image, you may find pictures that are protected by copyright. It's important ensure that you respect copyright laws. I've mentioned where these are. Insert illustrations, pictures. You can also insert text boxes if you want to make quick notes. You can also insert pictures, picture tools. For pictures, picture tools format is for adding some of the flavor, make it look really cool and fancy. I'm going to skip step 1. Once again, we're on E4, D6. Develop your skills E4, D6. Step number 2, click cell J1 on the sales sheet. Then choose Insert Illustrations, Online Pictures. Insert Illustrations. I have to go to Pictures and then Online Pictures. And here in the search box, they want me to type step 3, air travel. I press enter. And it says choose a suitable image, perhaps a plane with a globe, and then click insert. The one they really want you to use is one of these first two. I'm going to choose this first one. And this Creative Commons means that basically speaking, you can use it, so don't worry so much. But if you uncheck that, you're more prone to copyright problems. So I'm going to click insert. And that's why this attribution label comes down here. You can just leave it there, it's okay. Step 4 says with the image still selected, they're going to have you size it. Instead of trying to drag, they're going to have you size it quickly. It says with the image still selected, choose Picture Tools format, size, height, and type 1 in the box. So that for me, that's picture format, size group, and they want me to change the height. So this is the height. I type 1 and I press enter. And if this didn't size with it, you can just kind of move it. In my opinion, you could kind of click away real quick, click on it. For us, we can just delete it just to make it easy for now. Yeah, sometimes when you size, that piece doesn't go with it, the attribution piece. That's the problem with them keeping that there now. Step number 5, we're going to kind of repeat the process. It says click cell L1. So even though, actually that's an I1, I apologize. I1, choose Insert Illustrations, Online Pictures again. Insert Illustrations, for me, Pictures, Online Pictures. Step 6 says our search word is the word space. I press enter after I type it. And it says choose an appropriate image of a spaceship. So the book always used to want us to use this one or this one. I'll just use this one because it's pretty plain and boring. And I'm going to click insert. Once again, it comes in huge. Step 7, resize this image to be 1 inch in height to match the first image. So as a reminder, that was picture format, size, click in the height box here, type 1, press enter. Okay. Step number 8, they're just going to have you do one little tweak to the picture to remind you there's some cool stuff here. It says choose Picture Tools format, adjust, color, blue accent color 1 light. So that's picture format, adjust group if you have group names, color, and they want the blue accent color 1 light. Hey, I found the right one right off the bat. I click it once and it looks freshness. It kind of matches this a little bit better. Save our changes. I'm going to click the next button to go to the next portion of our chapter or book. Conditional formatting. Another way to better visualize your data is to use conditional formatting. Conditional formatting takes a set of data, applies a rule or rules, and modifies the formatting of the cells that match the rule. For example, you may have a large set of data containing student grades and want to quickly find the top 3 marks. Or you may have sales data for a group of products and want to find which product sells the most and which one sells the least. Conditional formatting applies formatting of your choice to the cells that meet these criteria so you can quickly find them. Rules can be created to draw attention to the top or bottom, or numbers greater than or less than a specific number, even averages, stuff like that. So conditional formatting is very powerful to make data stand out. There's so many options. To apply conditional formatting, the first step is to always select the entire range of data to apply the rule to. For conditional formatting, unlike with charts, you do not include any labels. Okay? Different rule options are available from the conditional formatting drop-down menu, but the criteria and formatting can also be modified to suit your needs. So they're showing you an example of a conditional formatting here in which the rule is, looks to me like greater than 11. Let me see, a rule has been created. You can delete the rule. They don't tell us what the rule is, I don't think. Oh, the worksheet before creating conditional formatting. The worksheet after creating conditional formatting rule is applied to the range, showing the top 5 items. So the highest 5 marks have red. When a conditional formatting rule is created for the top 5 items, if 2 or more items are tied for 5th highest, 6 or more items could be included. So if there's a tie, it will note the tie counts. After a conditional formatting rule is created, the formatting is automatically updated to reflect the new data if it changes. You find it from Home, Styles Group, Conditional Formatting. The other thing I would tell you is if you ever make your rule wrong, oftentimes it's easier to delete the rule and redo it than it is to try to edit it. There is a way to edit rules, but I found that that's a little more complicated and it doesn't always work right. Develop your skills E4D7. We're not going to do the save as of step 1. Step 2, highlight B4 to G8. Choose Home, Styles, Conditional Formatting. Home, Styles, Conditional Formatting. Highlight Cell Rules, greater than. In the box here, all we have to do is type 20,000. No comma. And the preview even shows which data it's going to apply to. If this is not blocking you, it could be blocking you partially. Also here, after you type in the criteria for greater than and the criteria, choose what kind of conditional formatting look you want for it. It says leave it on the light red fill with dark red text and click OK. Step 4 was to click OK. Step 5, highlight H4 to H8. Choose Home, Styles, Conditional Formatting, Top, Bottom Rules, Top 10. So that's Home, Styles Group, Conditional Formatting, Top, Bottom Rules, Top 10. This number will always say 10 no matter what. So if you only want the top 2, well, this always starts with 10. Sorry, Charlie. It always says the word 10. Okay, so let it be. Now that I've clicked it, I'm on step 6. In the dialog box, change the 10 to a 1. So there's lots of ways you could do that. You could highlight it and type a 1. You could use the little spinner bar here and go down to 1. Now, don't just jump the gun and click OK. Put this to 1. And step 6 says choose green fill with dark green text. So I click this drop down, green fill with dark green text. Now, if you ever want to make up your own fill style, you go down to custom format at the bottom. But the book wants us to do green fill with dark green text. I click OK. There's our top person. Isn't that really cool? Leave the range highlighted, H4 to H8, and let's do step number 8. I'm sorry, 7. With the range of H4 to H8 still selected, choose Home, Styles, Conditional Formatting, Top, Bottom Rules, but bottom 10. So that's Home, Styles, Conditional Formatting, Top, Bottom Rules, but this time bottom 10 items. Change this to a 1 again, any method you'd like to use. Change the fill style here to step 8 says yellow fill with dark yellow text. Click OK. So now we have the top and the bottom person. Okay. Step number 9, select cell D5 and increase the number 12,207 to 22,207. So I'm going to click square D5. There's an easy way to do it without typing the whole number up here in the formula bar, or I can double click the square. I can just edit. So I'll double click here in the cell. I got my cursor between the 1 and the 2 and just change it to a 2. So it's 22,207. Press enter. You'll notice the chart already readjusted. They're now higher than the 20,000, so they became red. The person who was lowest was this person before. They're no longer lowest. This person is lowest. So all that changes automatically in Excel. Things update. It's magic. All the answers and all that have changed. It says here to save and close Excel, which basically means we're at the end of the chapter. What I'd like to do before ending this for you is show you how to make a chart, such as a pie chart, that needs only certain data. Because they have you do this in the first lesson of the review exercises. So I don't want you to be fooled how to select with the control key. I could also do it with a line chart, but this data wouldn't make much sense with a line chart, to be quite honest. Well, actually, it would be one line. It would be okay. So I can do two different charts if you just want me to see it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select, I want to make a pie chart with the people's names and their totals. Okay. So I'm going to highlight from A4 to A8. My hands are waving in the air. See, I've already highlighted one range. I'm going to hold down Control. On a Mac, I believe it's Command. And I'm going to highlight H3 to H8. So see, I have two parallel ranges that are highlighted with nothing in between. That's the magic. I have this highlighted and this highlighted, nothing in between. Now I would go to Insert. I would choose maybe Recommended Charts. There's a nice pie chart for it. And then I can click OK. And I have a pie chart for just that data. One thing that the book also didn't show you is something that I really love is I can put labels on these pieces of the pie instead of maybe having the names here. They may have you do this in the review chapter, so I'll show it now. But if I click this plus, I can go to data labels here and click it if I want. See how it puts the numbers in here? That's really cool. Or if I point here on data labels and go to this arrow, I can go to more options. And this is one of my favorites here, is I can put category name and their totals. Isn't that really cool? Then I don't really need the legend anymore. So that means if I don't want the legend, I'm going to close this panel now. I'm going to click the plus and I'm going to uncheck legend. And see how that got a little better? Also, while the names of all these are highlighted, I can also go to home. I can go to my font group and I can change my text color. And maybe I'll make it white. Maybe I'll even make it bold. And see how cool that is? So that's making a chart of what we would call non-continuous data, non-adjacent data. I'll show you one more example of that just for how to select and everything. Let's say I want to make a chart of, well, this doesn't have very good data to do it. I was thinking we could do the months, but we can't really do the months. So I'll just review with you really quick because I don't need the months in just one person. Well, you could. You could highlight, say, the months. And then if I just want Hope's data, I would hold Control and highlight just Hope's data. That's how you're basically doing it. You highlight a range, then hold down Control, highlight the parallel range to it. Okay? So hopefully this helps you. As a reminder, back in your book, if you go past the little quiz, you reach the review exercises. I do sometimes do these with students in class. I don't think I'll be making videos of all these review lessons because that's where we really want you to practice, see where you might get stuck and where I give you that one-on-one assistance. That's where it will really help. So they do in this particular exercise, as you can see, it says start Excel, open V hours. I'll actually do this real quick just to show you how to select. I won't bother to bring in the chart, but I'm going to save my one here. I'll go to File, Close. I'm going to go to File, Open, click Browse. They want me to open E4 R1 V hours. I'm not going to do the Save As right now because I just want to show you how to select. Make sure you get it. It says select the ranges A4 colon A10 and N4 to A10. Remember to use Control. Well, remember, you never did it before. So it's really hard for you to remember that. So you highlight A4 to A10. Whoops, A4 to A10. Sorry, I started to go across. A4 to A10. My hands are in the air, see? Now this is where it gets really tricky. Hold Control, and I point to N4. I'm pointing, I didn't click. Now I hold down my mouse button and go down to N10. That's how you'll select. And you know if you select correctly, because if you go to step 3, insert charts, recommended charts, insert charts, recommended charts, if you don't get any previews, you did something wrong. Okay, so I'm going to click cancel and I'll show you the most popular problem people do. They highlight this perfectly. They hold control, they click, then they highlight. Whoops, they click, then they highlight. Oh, mine's acting really weird. Okay, so I hold down control, I click, then they do something like this. And then they go to insert, recommended charts. It doesn't know what to do. If you get this, you're going to click cancel, click away, try again. Highlight A4 to A10, hold down control, N4 to N10. It has to look continuous like that with no white. There's no white in it anywhere here. Then when I go to recommended charts, no problem. So I hope this helps you. Once again, I'd love for you to do all these review exercises. Contact me if you have questions. We'll be doing things together in class where I can answer them. You'll be hopefully in breakout rooms. Remember, there's the apply your skills exercises that come a little later. As usual, always ask any questions. So I hope this video helps you, and we'll see you soon for Chapter 5.